So I will tell you, like, from a budgeting perspective, how you will be like calculating. So for example, here they need to have needs to be an existing member. So for that, like, they have to register. That registration will take a different page, right? So registration will be like different. So for that, we have certain business rules that's going to be different. For these two user stories, for an existing customer to actually log in, and then they have to like see the homepage. From the homepage, like they'll be able to, like I've told you, like the whole that scanning process for them to like deposit the check. Then from a backend perspective, a case needs to be created here. And if it's going to be internal transfer is fine. If it's going to be external, we are going to like integrate through an API with other banks, and we are going to like process those checks. So from the point perspective, now you tell me how many points we can give to these two user stories, how long it will take. And I told you 1 point is 8 hours. And $120 per hour, that's the billing rate. Okay, if it's full-time or contractors, that will be the billing rate. So then you tell me, like, for just these two user stories, give me the analyst points, and like, can you guess the developer points? So you have to like completely, you have to give points based upon how long it will take for you to gather requirements for documentation, and then for the developer to develop, tester is going to test, we are going to push the code to UAT, and for a go live, you're going to, like I told you, you have to create tickets and all, and then you're going to have all the solicitation calls with them. So completely end to end to perform in order for these two stories to go live. Tell me the like points, story points.
Approximately 150.
150 points both, or only
Uh,
analyst?
for analyst, I think 50 points should be enough in this case because when it comes to requirements, pretty simple or straightforward requirement for these user stories. I
Okay,
mean
so you say
that's what
what?
I think.
Okay, so 50 points means like um
400 hours.
400 hours, right? Okay, so what's the billing rate? 400 into 120.
But
How much?
according to you, do you think this is more or this is enough?
No, no, that's fine. You tell me from your perspective, then I will give you feedback. So 400 hours into like your billing rate is 120, right? Then tell me how much they're going to give you.
4,80,000 is the right number.
What about now developer?
For no, it's 48,000, right?
Okay, 48,000.
And developers probably 100 points.
100 points. So in that case, 800 hours, right?
86,000.
96,000. So if you add both these, like totally how much just for these two stories?
144.
144,000.
144,000
44.
dollars just for completing this one. Then just imagine to complete the whole project, how much it's going to take. And you're just telling only developer points, and not including scrum master and a product owner who will be also be charging against the same PRJ, because they are also working on this for grooming and everything, right? So they will add their points too.
Yeah, but
So
I mean, sorry. I think what numbers I've given is probably extra. This might not need these two user stories might not need these many hours. What I have mentioned, I mean, what I've suggested, because when it comes to taking requirements, I think it is pretty simple and straightforward. Like
No, to
That's
test
the
this itself, we will charge 48,000. In reality, I'm telling you. You're talking about analyst points, right? Just to test this, we will charge 48,000. That's how in real time we are giving. So this is very less when we compare to whatever for the end-to-end testing. Just to test this, or
so, so according to you,
this
how
very,
much
very, very, very less compared to
I mean,
what we are charging
po-
actually.
points according to you, how much it should be developer points and others points?
So first of all, like from the developer, like just think about from our perspective, 400 work hours doesn't mean that 400 hours you're actual working. Okay, so that you have to understand. So the usually the business owners, right, they'll come and ask, oh, you put 400 hours, so actually are you going to like gather requirements for 6 months? They're going to ask you, right? But in reality, it's not like that. When you say 400 hours, that's the work hours, not for one analyst. It's for like the junior BA, scrum master, product owner, like manager. They're spending there. You're sending emails. You're like follow. So it's including all the work hours, not the exact 1 hour call you're going to have with them. You're going to follow up with them. You're going to do documentation. You're going to like constantly I mean, like there are multiple things. Your manager is going to come to certain calls. He needs a PRJ, and funding is very, very, very crucial, because if there is no funding, I've told you, they're going to like fire you. So if in from an ID perspective, we always give 25% extra. That's there. But you have to understand from an at least from an analyst perspective, I'm writing this user story because I have experience. That's why I'm like able to write it. But if you are a beginner, or if the business owners are not very clear, you're actually seeing the end product here. And I've multiple times I've demoed you the process, so it's easy for you. So you're thinking it's very simple. Just think that you're starting from scratch. You have no clue, and they're giving you requirements. Then you tell me like how long it's going to take for you to write the user story. So you have no clue. You're not even visually seeing how you don't even know like how a check deposit will happen, right? So you have a Pega app, and this is a brand new functionality. Let's say America, maybe 10 years before, they don't have this functionality, and nobody has done these kind of projects. And now they want to introduce this OCR process, and that they're hiring a new OCR team, and you are a BA, and you have no clue how scanning application works and how they extract keywords. You have no clue. Then for you to arrive to this, like this is how the front end screen will look, and this is how they will log in, for this is how this process will take. So for you to arrive, then you tell me like how long it's going to take to just write the user story.
Yeah, I get
Now
that.
it's easy because I'm showing you the end product, because I'm like
Yeah,
telling you, and I'm telling you this is the step by step. I'm telling you. That's why you're thinking, oh, it's very easy, right? You can do it. But you'll be the one actually like imagining and developing a process.
yeah. I
Okay.
mean, you have a point, but I mean, what I was thinking is because we are adding a feature into existing product, like the
Correct,
product.
correct.
Yeah. Mm.
So it's not that you're going to mimic the same thing, right? Every market will have their own thing. So it's not that you're going to copy the same thing and then you're going to do it. So when you get a new market, when they say I want similar something like California, so you cannot. Of course, you can use some of the coding, exiting functionalities. You can use some of it, but the time you take to gather requirements, because they are new people, new business owners, for the time to analyze their needs, for the time to like to create that rapport, for the time for you to like document, like again you're going to create a BRD for them, user story for them. Again your developer is going to code. Of course he will have the experience of previously he will code it, but in actual reality he will code. And then again you need to test, completely test for this new, with all the new documents. So for example, you're doing it for California, now you're doing it for Texas. That doesn't mean you can take California test documents and you are going to like again reprocess it, right? For Texas, again you're going to create dummy members, again you're going to like create test documents, again you're going to like create UAT documents. You are going to like teach the business owners how to do this testing. And test documents, they don't know how to mark up the test documents, right? Again you have to show them. See, I'm taking 10 different test documents, maybe 10 different checks. One needs to be member not found, one needs to be like able to capture the first name, last name, not the amount. For one check there is no signature there, like you're going to give 10 different test scenarios. You're going to ask them to mark the data, and the business owners are not California business owners. For them, you will have that prior knowledge how to test, but for them it's new, completely new, and you're going to like teach them from scratch, and you're going to give your side of effort. So only thing from an analyst or developer perspective is they know the process, so it's easy for them to guide other people, but the time that will take to create another software is going to maybe for the first project it's like 10 sprints, now it may take like 7 sprints. But again, you have to analyze the complexity of this project, whether they're going to add any new enhancement, if there is an email notification involved. So when we submit something, the customer has to get an email notification. So how are we going to like validate that email ID? And what if there is a bounce back scenario? If that's not a valid email ID, if we receive bounce back, how are we going to process those kind of documents? Whether we are integrating with a new print vendor. So it may look like very simple. From seeing, it may look simple, but from a technical perspective, the developer has to analyze, and you have to analyze like what are the additional features they're asking for, and then how, whether for maybe for California you're not even sending that email, now you're sending based upon the preferences, you're sending an email. For California you're just printing for all, they are not paperless, but for Texas you want now the state mandate is you have to go paperless, you want everybody to go paperless. So you're just saying that go paperless, you're just promoting paperless. So don't think it will be like something like very routine in IT, not at all. Every project is going to be different, every stakeholders are going to be different, and your you will have your promotion, you will have your bonus, and then your salary is going to get increased. Everybody's salary is going to get increased, right, every year. So if you're a full-time employee, you're not going to get the same salary. Your billing rate is going to be differing. And if it's going to be like, for example, you got a promotion from an advisor to an executive advisor, you're not going to charge $120. You're going to charge maybe $30 extra. So all that we will include in this pricing point. So we are not, this is not something like standard. Today it's 120, maybe 6 months after that it can be 140 or 150, depending upon your price rate or how your salary is increasing or how much bonus you got, and all that will come into this hourly rate. So we have to take into account, we don't want people to think, so your mindset should not be, oh, this is very high, oh, this can be done in 50,000. If you had that mindset, then you're digging your own grave, because you are going to lose your fund, and then like they'll be like, there is no funding for this project, and they're going to like fire you, right? So that is a gimmick that you have to use for anything, even it's going to be a small simple thing, simple functionality to test. You're going to add that extra points. You know this is going to take 8 hours, but I will give 16 hours just in case. We don't know how complex the testing is going to be, what kind of defects we are going to get in those environment, and what kind of like fixes we are going to do. We never know. We are just giving a ballpark estimate, but actual effort we don't know. Happy path, everything goes fine, no issue, this is okay, the hours you're estimated is fine. If there is issue during UAT, issue during QA, and you're creating defects, and the developers has to constantly fix the defects, so how are you going to like get those work hours? And initially when you give some work hours and it's approved, it's very hard for you to get funding again, very hard for them to convince the business owners and get funding again. So I would say your manager will take care of all these things, but from a point estimation, do not underestimate your points. You know this will take 1 hour, give 3 hours, because you never know what like how you will get locked in that requirement, or how you are going to like what kind of issues will arise, especially defects during UAT. There will be a lot of defects, and it will take some time for you to fix the defects. It can take 1 day, it can take 1 week for you to fix a defect, right? Depending upon the complexity of the defect. So when you're estimating story points, you know maybe for this story point it's going to take 8 points, please like bump up at least 25% extra, so that you have that buffer. Okay, and you're safe also. For the next 3 months, you have something in your funding part and your job is safe. So this is very, very, very important for you to understand story point estimation and LOE estimation, level of effort estimation. Please don't underestimate, and don't get into trouble. Okay, any
I
questions?
understand what you're trying to say. I mean, I was just looking through the user stories point of view, but well, to come to this level, we have to do so many things before, like gathering information, analyzing it, finding solution, and then coming to user stories.
Correct, correct. That's what I'm saying. Now I'm giving you direct requirements, right? But in reality, it will not be like that.
Pradeep, I have a question. For that, like analyst points and the developer points, is there any like a ratio? Say it's like a 50-50 or the 40-60? Is there any like a
No. You just give your points, Lucia. So in my thing, I don't care about developer how it takes. I just look on, like for me, this is going to be very time consuming. I have very tough people. They have zero knowledge about our application. Means I will give more than developer. I'm not worried about his points at all. That's just his headache, right? I mean, he gave 50, that's why I added 50. If you feel you have more work than the developer, then you add 152. That's up to you. So don't think that analyst points has to be always lower than the developer. Okay, so for you, you think like, because you will be the one actually dealing with them. So, okay, for you, you may not be coding, but you'll be the one who will be dealing with them, right? So if you think they're very difficult to handle, you need constantly follow up with them and you're having a hard time, because first 3 calls you will know that this is not going to be easy for you for the next 6 months, right? So in that case, just bump up your points. Tell your manager they were complex characters. I mean, they don't. So usually managers will be like, whatever you give, even from this, they are going to bump up a 25% extra because they don't want to lose a resource. Because if you don't have funding, I'm telling you again and again, if you lower all these points, and then if you if you give very small estimates saying that I will be efficient enough to do this, then I'm telling you, like, you're digging your own grave. Because if you don't have funding in IT, it's easy for them to fire. So you have to always have that in mind. I need funding for the next 3 months. Make sure you bump up the points and then you give it to them. Okay. So I think we are good for today. And then tomorrow, I will work. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow, yes, Wednesday, right? So we can work on the additional user stories when we will complete all the user stories, and I will simultaneously I will tell how to document this as a BRD2. Okay.
Pradeepa, and as I know that a BRD is for the waterfall methodology and the user stories for the agile. So
Correct.
those two things can like existing in the same project in the same time.
Correct. So for example, here in Bank of America, right, if you're integrating with a third-party credit system, they don't have access to your Jira board. So in that case, you will create both BRD for them and then maybe user stories for you for your own developers, because they don't have access to your Jira.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.